Welcome back. As you know, I am Eli, the computer guy, here for your daily dose of the roars as we scream about the very stupid stuff going on in the world of technology. Because the rest of the world is just too bat crap insane right now. Inquiring minds want to know, what does MAGA actually want? Do you know we now have an armada? An armada is cruising towards Iran because we're going to do regime change in Iran, apparently. I thought... Apparently I was wrong. Apparently I was wrong with the MAGA movement. I thought the point of electing Trump was to get out of military adventurism around the world and focus on the problems of the American citizens. And in this year, let's see, we've attacked Venezuela. We've already attacked Iran one time. Trump has been talking about putting American troops on the ground in Gaza, of all places. He wants a $1.5 trillion military budget so we can have the military Americans deserve and push back on China. Now, apparently, we are sending our armada to Iran for regime change, and wait for it, at least to some capacity, we're still supporting Ukraine. Dear MAGA, what do you want? I don't understand what you people actually want. The problem is all of these politicians that have been captured by the military-industrial complex in order to support forever wars that drain the financial resources from this country so that the people in this country are not supported. That is why we're going to vote for Donald Trump. And Donald Trump comes into office, and apparently now we're using our military absolutely fucking everywhere. Absolutely everywhere, right? Rubio, they tried to corner Rubio. Was it yesterday or the day before? Talking about regime change in Cuba. So yeah. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe I just did not understand the concept of America first. Maybe it's my bad. Maybe I just, when you say like America first, Maybe I don't understand my own language. Eli, the problem is a 50-year-old man with a college degree and the rest of it. You don't understand the English language. Eli, when Trump says America first, it means after Israel. It means after the, people making $1 trillion. It means after, it's kind of like Obama said in Libya, America is leading from behind. So maybe under Trump's America, America is first from behind. Is that how it's going to work? Maybe that's it. Maybe Trump is looking at Obama winning the Nobel Peace Prize, and he's like, "Hey, if we attacked Libya, saying that we were leading from behind, maybe we can do America first from behind." I don't know. Maybe that's the new metaphor. Maybe that's a new metaphor for MAGA. America first from behind. Anyways, how are y'all doing? I just don't understand. I'm like, what is it? This isn't being a hawk in military versus being a dove in military. This isn't being socially liberal or socially conservative. This isn't like religious versus anti. This is just like, what do y'all want? These protesters are maintaining the freedoms guaranteed in the Constitution. These protesters are terrorists. Anyways. Don't think about it. Consume more. I guess that is the American way. Anyways, I just don't know what's going on. Don't know what's going on. But I do these videos in order to support Silicon Dojo, free hands-on technology education in Durham, North Carolina, where I teach you how to actually build things. We're doing a cool class on AI agents for telephony using Twilio and 11 Labs. Fucking phenomenal, just phenomenal. We're doing that class on February 11th. We're doing a class on SQL and the Model Web App Framework for building web applications, AI web applications, of course. I don't know. It's a full day, a Saturday, sometime in February. It's scheduled, and we're doing another class on TCP/IP version 4 for programmers. That class is also scheduled in February. If you're interested in those classes, take a look at silicondojo.com to see what our current schedule is. If you want to help support the classes, there's a donor box link down below. And don't worry, in the classes, we don't talk about politics. In the classes, we are in the country of technology. But anyways, I come here to scream into a camera, and people apparently like to hear me scream into a camera. Eli, why do you sit there talking for an hour? Because it pays for Silicon Dojo. It's very difficult to explain shit to Gen Z. Like, why do you do that? Because it pays money. Because it pays money. Because unlike apparently the Gen Z generation, I do have a mortgage to worry about. Again, you all may have the privilege of saying, I don't think work is worth it. Great. Good for you. I don't know. I actually have to bring some money in. It is curious. One of the things, and this kind of corresponds to what I'll be talking today about Pinterest layoffs. It is kind of curious, though, for the bosses out there, basically for the bosses or the people that work in the tech world. I think the office environment is gonna get pretty sucky pretty soon. It's been curious over the past couple years, right? As the return to office mandates have come back, as companies have been laying off people en masse, as AI comes in, all of this stuff, right? We had a couple years there where the mass media, right, the mainstream media said that employees now have the power. That wasn't the case, but it made good buzzwords. Anyways, there was a couple of years there where employees felt like they had the power, basically because of 1% interest rates, and nobody's really paying attention to what the fuck they were doing. That's a sad thing about so many modern employees. It's like, oh, dear modern employee, you do realize you were just paid for your ass. Your ass to literally be in a seat. And the issue is nobody really gave a shit, right? It's fascinating. Like, one of the things I find fascinating being in the technology world is, like, when you see the TikTok videos or short videos, and it's like, my life as a technology professional. And they go get a cappuccino, and they go drive in an Uber, and they get like this fucking quinoa avocado salad, and like they're doing all this stuff. And God bless them, dude. If you're getting paid fucking 6 figures to eat quinoa salad and drink cappuccino, dude, no shame for me. You take that fucking money. But the weird part is, right? We had years of like, this is what the idea of being a technology professional is, right? The nap pods and all of that kind of stuff. And so, as I've talked about before, I just don't understand it, right? That's not what being a technology professional is. One of the reasons that real technology professionals are cranky bastards is because the work that they do has real impact, and when you fuck up, it's going to do a lot of damage, right? That's the thing. It's hard to be so happy-go-lucky when if you put the comma in the wrong place, a lot of shit is gonna go boom. And so what's been fascinating, or it's fascinating for a number of years, is to see all of these people getting into the world of tech. And when I looked at their jobs, and even when I listened to them, it didn't correspond at all to what I think about being a technology professional. Just like literally just doesn't make any sense. And so what's curious now is, as interest rates have gone up, cheap money has gone away. Companies are now focused on revenue and possibly even profitability, and they're going through and they're basically just having to liquidate these employees, right? These employees, the only reason they were hired was to be an ass in a seat, and now they're getting fired, and it's making a lot of people cry. I do think that one of the interesting things is, even with the real technology professionals that I know, I am starting to see a lot more dissatisfaction with companies than I saw before, which is a curious thing, right? So I go, you have beers, you have coffee, you have whatever else with people, And you talk about the normal stuff, right? There's a normal conversation you have. Hey, what LLM model do you like the most? Hey, what infrastructure as a service platform do you like? Hey, what language do you like? That kind of stuff. So that's the normal kind of stuff. And then, after you get through that and you're just sitting there talking for a while, you'll get to more and more, just what's going on in life and what's going on with, the career or whatever. And one of the things that I've noticed is talking with a lot of technology professionals right now, there is becoming more and more like deep-seated dissatisfaction with the companies that these folks work for. And I'm curious what that is going to do to the working environment going into the future. So again, for a number of years, for about 4 or 5 years, it was interesting. The level of dissatisfaction that I heard generally from people that I was talking to in the tech world was relatively low. And I don't know if it's because the employers were kissing their ass and so it was a pretty good environment. I don't know if the job market was so good that they basically hopped jobs, right? As soon as this boss starts fucking annoying me, I just go to another job, right? That keeps the dissatisfaction down. I don't know if it's because the job market was relatively good, they knew they could leave, right? Yeah, this boss is irritating me a little bit. I know I can leave at any time. And since I know I can leave at any time, I don't have very much stress, right? And so the dissatisfaction, it's not necessarily that the boss is good, but when you know you can leave the boss at any time, you don't get stressed the same way. I do wonder now, basically as the tech job market collapses, as companies start focusing on the bottom line and the rest of it, what's going to happen to the stress level of employees as they start to feel more and more, quote unquote, trapped in these jobs with no viable way of getting out, as the businesses have to refocus on profitability and that type of thing, and as bosses do what bosses do. Again, being a boss, the important thing to understand, if you're young and out there, you're an 18-year-old out there, here's the thing, like stop this shit with crap talking about your boss all the time. Remember, your boss has a job. Being a manager is a job, being a supervisor has a job, even being an owner is a job, right? Sometimes, they're good and they're nice and they pat you on the head. Sometimes they have to make decisions that you dislike, but they're best for the company. Sometimes they just have to, they got a couple of options on the table. The option that they pick happens to be the one that you dislike. It doesn't mean it's actually a bad option. It's just a particular option that they decided to pick. And sometimes they make, wait for it, bad calls. Just like you fuck up, they fuck up too. And I think the interesting thing is, again, with all of this focus on bosses and supervisors and just this anger towards the quote-unquote 1%, let me tell you, buckos, your boss is not the fucking 1%. If you want to see the abject failure of the American education system, you can see it in the fact that nobody seems to understand what the fuck 1% actually means. 1% is one motherfucker out of 100 motherfuckers. And guess what? That one motherfucker probably doesn't want to hang around with you. Let's just be honest, right? Your manager, your supervisor, your team lead, unless you're working for Google, if you're working for Google, it's a whole different world. But unless you're working for Google or OpenAI, here's a fact of the matter. Your manager is not in the 1%. And so this whole thing of putting all this hate and anger onto that person, again, I'm not really sure how that's going to do well for your career. Why won't this motherfucker, promote me? It only shows you what a dumbass son of a bitch they really are. They want to understand a for loop for my fucking asshole. Like, oh, really? Yeah, you have no idea why they don't want to promote you. I can't imagine. Can't imagine that. But anyways, I do think it's interesting, right? There's more and more of like this kind of like this festeringness, which I think is curious. It's very curious, right? So I've been doing tech since 96. I shipped off to Basic in March of 96. Anyways, so I've been doing tech since 96. And again, I've seen a lot of maladaptive behaviors and fucked up people. It's been very curious though over the past couple of years. Is the psychological derangement in our profession. It's just new. Like some of the shit that I'm seeing is just like new. And I think that's a curious thing right now is like with this, yeah, with this like this anger bordering on rage towards the authority figures in corporations. It's kind of like a newish phenomenon, especially, again, more wider. It seems to be spreading wider. And it'll be curious to see how this works out in the corporate systems, like managing tech employees that have really decided just to fucking hate you, working with other tech employees that really decided that they hate the corporation, like just this. Again, not that you should get paid more. There's just something in the air, like trapped feral computer geeks that are bound by their golden handcuffs. Where that's the weird. It's like they're feral and they're angry and they're trapped, but they're trapped by gold handcuffs. I don't know. Where do you think all that's gonna go? We're going to find out. You thought 2025 was bad? You thought 2025 was bad? Oh, 2026. 2026 is going to be so gloriously much worse. Anyways, that's just my little rambling bit. Why does Eli ramble? Because people listen. And because it pays for Silicon Dojo. Again, I can't quite seem to get this through some of my viewers' heads. I do this to pay for Silicon Dojo. This pays for Silicon Dojo very well. For sub 1 hour a day, So five hours a week, less really, I do this. So I do the video, I edit the video, I upload the video, I put a fucking AI slop featured image on the video, and this pays for all of Silicon Dojo. That's how capitalism works. I know. We really are just not educating our young. Anyways, but do remember, if you don't like my politics, it's very important that you watch every single one of my videos, preferably multiple times, and then leave a book worth of venting rage in the comment section under each and every one of those videos. Yeah, that'll show me what's what. What? Anyway, I do love that. There's that comic, like, again, I watch like Nerdgasm or not Nerdgasm, Nerdrotic or Critical Drinker, and I do love that one comic book artist. You know, the one with the glasses. She's a female with the glasses or whatever. She's like, if you don't like my politics, don't buy my book. You're like, what? No. If you don't like my politics, then really what you need to do is you need to buy a couple versions of my multi-covered book and really read to understand my opinions. That's how capitalism works. But anyways, it's 2020. It's 2026. Fuck me. Anyways, let's talk about layoffs today. It is funny, right? I talked about this before, where kind of like topics, things that I talk about, come in waves. Like first there was like the layoff wave, and then there was like the Trump wave, and then there was the China wave, and there's the AI wave. People are like, why are you always talking about this one thing? And it simply is. It's interesting how the world works. Things kind of come in with waves. And it does seem like we are currently in the layoff wave, and I do wonder how far this is going to go. So Amazon, I was incorrect. I said they were going to lay off 14,000 people. Apparently they are laying off 16,000 people. The company that runs Autodesk is laying off 1,000 people. UPS is now laying off 30,000 people on top of the 48,000 people that they laid off last year. And the next one to come down the pike is Pinterest, laying off 15% of their workforce. So it does appear in 2026, the layoffs will keep continuing. Coming from CNBC, Pinterest laying off 15% of workforce as part of AI push. This is interesting, though their stock actually plummets. Most of the time when we talk about this, when they eliminate employees, the stock goes up. For Pinterest, weirdly enough, the stock went down. I guess the lesson here is that they didn't fire enough employees. See, if you're a CEO right now and you're trying to suss out the lesson that Eli, the computer guy, is trying to give you, is don't go cheap on the laying off employees. Right? If the stock market thinks that you need to lay off 75% of your employees, don't fucking lay off 60%. That's not going to help you. That's going to get rid of 60% of your employees, and the stock market still isn't going to like you. You got to not just lay off to the level they want. You got to lay off a couple more. They want you to lay off 75% of your workforce. Really? Lay off 77.5% to really prove how tough you are as a boss. But I do also kind of think this is an interesting thing. Again, something to think about, because a lot of these companies, again, UPS, Amazon, whatever, have gone their stocks have popped after these layoffs. And there is this curious thing, like what is the actual lesson? What is the actual lesson we're learning from this type of thing? And it is curious. Like one of your takeaways for Pinterest is maybe the problem is that they didn't lay off enough people. Like if you're a CEO and you're like, okay, they laid off 15% of the workforce and the stock still dropped by 9%. Like what's the issue here? Is this that the stock market didn't want them to lay off anybody? Which probably isn't the case, right? Other companies are being are being awarded for laying off folks. So it's probably not that the stock market doesn't want you to lay off folks. So if it's not that the stock market doesn't want you to lay off folks and you laid off folks, maybe the problem is you didn't lay off nearly enough. Maybe instead of 15%, maybe they should have really laid off about 30%. And again, this is where I talk about many times, this is where you have to really figure out how comfortable you feel with your company. Do you really feel your company is in a position where they wouldn't lay off an additional 5, 10, or 20% of their staff just to see that stock price go up a little bit, especially as we go into 2026 and everything gets far more wackadoodle, right? If you take a look at this, Pinterest said Tuesday it plans to lay off 50% of its workforce and cut back on office space as the company embraces artificial intelligence. In a securities filing, Pinterest said it expects the cuts will be complete by the end of its third quarter in late September. Shares of Pinterest closed down more than 9%. So maybe it wasn't enough layoffs. Maybe the layoff time period was too long. Again, what is the takeaway there? Now, the social media company said it's, quote, reallocating resources to AI-focused teams and prioritizing, quote, AI-powered products and capabilities. It said it's also reshaping its sales and marketing strategy. So this is what we've been seeing a lot from these companies, is basically get rid of employees in order to free up financial resources to go after artificial intelligence, even though there's a huge question about what that means. And, I will remind you when you're looking at these layoffs and you're told, oh, AI is doing it, do remember 2026 is the year of productivity as far as OpenAI is concerned, because OpenAI realized people really haven't found a lot of valuable uses for artificial intelligence. And so the idea is 2026 is the year to prove that AI can be productive. Anyways, so I think one of the curious things here is as they lay people off to reallocate resources to artificial intelligence, it'll be curious just how well that actually goes. Do they know what they're doing, right? Is this a scaling? Is this a scaling thing? Like, hey, we launched this artificial intelligence project, so we spent $100,000, we launched this AI project, right? This $100,000 AI project has, increased revenue in this one, vertical or whatever by 5% annually. So what we realize is if we spread this across the company, we could then increase the revenue across the company by 5%, with all the layouts, all the costs and all that. It'll cost $30,000 or $40,000 to do it, right? Is this where they have found valuable, viable, scalable artificial intelligence solutions that are bringing back a return, and so therefore they simply need to scale into a different direction, or are they just firing people and have this magical thinking idea that AI is going to solve these problems. I do find it fascinating with artificial intelligence. I've been playing with AI now. Well, I've been playing with the modern iteration of AI for 3 years since ChatGPT or since OpenAI's API came out. Been dealing with AI before that, back when it was machine learning and that type of thing. But one of the fascinating things I see with this generation of artificial intelligence is the actual valuable use cases are shockingly small. The value proposition is like shockingly small. That's one of the reasons I'm so excited about this whole Twilio AI voice agent thing with 11 Labs. Is this is a product I could actually sell. So if I still had my company, I still had 9 employees, the whole 9 yards, I could sell the shit out of a Twilio 11 Labs integration. Fucking fabulous things. But one of the things that's weird is, as excited as I am about this, like I'm so excited about AI telephone agents. I'm as excited as when I figured out how to sell auto attendants to my customers, right? Auto attendants, press 1 for sales, press 2 for service. Woo, I know. Who cares now? Look, 25 years ago, that was some sexy ass shit. Like when I look at AI voice agents for telephone systems, basically it's an auto attendant moment for me, which I'm really excited. I think it's really cool. I think it's really amazing. I could sell the shit out of this particular product, make a lot of money. But one of the things I find fascinating is, as I talk about that, it's like one of the first instances of artificial intelligence I could sell the shit out of. Like, think about it. When I talk about artificial intelligence, we do all these projects, we do Silicon Doge, I've been doing all this for... When was the last time you heard me say I could sell the shit out of something that I was working on? Right? I don't think I've said that before. It's like, well, if you're looking to very easily localize your application for different regions around the world, I guess this LLM would be valuable. That's normally what I say. It's like, I can see the value of this functionality. When was the last time I said I could sell the shit out of something? And so again, I think that's one of the interesting things with this whole artificial intelligence deal, especially as they shift financial resources from human beings to artificial intelligence. There really is that big question of, but seriously, how does this make your product actually better? I've seen so many AI deployments at this point in time where I hate the AI deployment. I literally wish I could rip AI out of so many products that I use, because it's fucking garbage. It is trash, right? I miss Clippy, right? Louis Rossmann has this Clippy war going on. You don't know. Some days I'm sitting there dealing with some piece of crap AI product and I look at Clippy and I go, oh, I miss Clippy. How fucked up does your AI technology have to be that I fucking miss Clippy? I fucking use Clippy in a production goddamn environment. I know the misery of Clippy, and I'm looking at Clippy getting a little goddamn nostalgic with how bad artificial intelligence implementations are. So, anyways, I do think that's going to be an interesting question, as we see more and more of these companies reallocate resources towards artificial intelligence. I mean, even if it's real, right? There's an argument, and again, it's an argument that I would make, is that they're not really laying off people for artificial intelligence. They're laying off people because interest rates are above 1%, and they hire people to be asses in seats in the whole 9 yards. But one of the other interesting questions here is, what if they are really reallocating resources to artificial intelligence? And there's that big question. Do they know what problems they're going to solve? Do they know do they have an inkling of an idea of how artificial intelligence is actually going to make their systems better and bring in revenue? Or are we just going to start getting more and more AI slop, basically projects, out of these corporations? That is where I would put my $5 bet. Pinterest had more than 4,500 employees globally as of last April, according to its most recent proxy filing. This is the other thing to think about. Like, when I talk about these companies, to realize how many employees they have. And I hear from a lot of the commenters, like, holy shit, that's a lot of employees. It's like, yeah, right? The Autodesk company had like 13,000 employees. Like Pinterest. And I'm not anti-Pinterest. I'm also not pro-Pinterest. Pinterest has 4,500 employees. And this is the important thing to be thinking about if you're a technology professional or you want to become a technology professional, just to realize the level of glut of technical employees at these companies, right? Glut at scale. Like, you think about Pinterest with 4,500 employees for Pinterest, and you think Really? I mean, no fucking offense to Pinterest. You really need 4,500 employees for Pinterest? Probably not. And then you think about it with all of these companies, the Microsofts, the Amazons, the Digital Oceans, the AutoCAD company, like all of these companies that they overhired at scale at least for 5 years. And now all those employees gotta get the fuck out. And then what's that going to do to the job market? Pinterest has looked to inject AI throughout its platform to show more personalized and relevant content to users. The company last October released a Pinterest Assistant shopping tool. At the same time, Pinterest has rolled out more automated advertising tools for marketers as it faces increasing competition from TikTok, Meta, Facebook, and Instagram. Quote, our investments in AI and product innovation are paying off, Pinterest CEO Bill Reddy said in November. Quote, we've become a leader in visual search and have effectively turned our platform into an AI-powered shopping assistant for 600 million customers. Well, there you go. At least he's being honest. One social media CEO is being honest. This is not a social media platform. This is a way to get you to buy products. Fair enough. Some experts have questioned whether the technology is the real source of the job reductions, saying some companies could be AI washing, yes, or blaming layoffs on the new technology to cover up cost-cutting efforts or other issues with their business, which is true and is also probably something that Pinterest is doing. So anyways, there you go. Pinterest is laying off 15% of its workforce in order to start throwing more money at artificial intelligence, and when they did that, the stock went down. Which obviously, the only real takeaway that you can leave here with is that they didn't fire enough motherfuckers. They needed to fire more people quicker to make the stockholders happy. So yeah, wait for that. Wait for that. Wait for it another 2 weeks when another 15% of the employees at Pinterest get dumped because they are desperate to goose the stock price. So yeah, I mean this stuff is just gonna keep going, and it's gonna be curious. We're gonna be curious to see where it winds up. What I'm interested in is more kind of like what happens with the cultures at so many of these tech companies as their employees get more and more jaded. Like, it's fascinating to me, right? When I went into the enterprise world, look, we were there to pay our mortgages. I didn't get a foosball fucking table. I didn't get fucking nap pods. Like, we didn't get fucking anything. I remember one time I walked in, some motherfucker had literally used toilet paper as a goddamn coffee filter for the coffee machine. Because we run out of coffee filters. You have to understand how it used to be 25 years ago. I remember when I got hired for a corporation and they had K-cups. Oh my God, this company must love us. They're giving us K-cups. And to be clear, it was not K-cups at the snack bar. It was not K-cups at the company cafeteria. No, you just went into this shitty little coffee room and they had a little machine that took K-cups instead of everything else. So if you wanted hazelnut coffee, hey, you got hazelnut coffee. I remember being so fucking excited about it. I was like, wow, this is a good company. We get K-cups. Anyways, and so it's interesting, right? You know, until 2010, really until the whole startup world, I think probably took off, probably 2012, 2013. I mean, for most technology professionals, I mean, the company treating you well meant they had a good 401k plan. The company treating you well is when you knew the health insurance prices went up and they just covered it fucking for you. You know, you knew they treated you well when you got your inflation adjusted, raise or whatever at the end of the year, and holy fuck, it actually matched inflation. Right, that sucks. You're gonna get your inflation adjusted raise. Yay! You know, inflation went up by 4%. You get a 1.5% raise. And you're like, I mean, yes, it is more, but actual inflation's a bit higher, right? But anyway, all right, that's again for God, yeah, if I did 96. Fuck me. Yeah, again, 15 years. And I think I talk about this like with a career. It's interesting having a career, being a professional, and seeing the dynamics of our industry change over the decades. So yeah, for about 15 years of my life, right? You know, a good company meant a good 401k. A good company meant that if a family member got sick, you could just tell your boss and walk the hell out the door. That was like good stuff, right? A good company was fucking Starbucks K cup. Whoo, whoo! Holy shit, they love you. Starbucks K cups. But it's fascinating. Now, again, like, so when we looked at our bosses and we looked at our peers and the rest, there wasn't this massive fucking level of expectation about what we deserved or whatever else. Like, we might deserve more money. Hey, look, you deserve more money, go find another fucking job, right? That's how it was. But it's been curious. Yeah, since 2015 or whatever else, we've had so many people get into the technology world. And that's the thing, is like, they have been hired to be asses in seats. They have been hired simply to be proof to investors that the company is growing, ergo they need more investment money. And that's where you've seen the rise of the day in the life videos. That's where you've seen the rise of the advocacy, right? Literally. Like protesting your company on company time, telling people not to buy your company's products at the exact same time you are still getting paid your salary. Like, what the fuck? I'm not saying you have a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday job and you go to a No King's Day protest on Saturday. I'm saying at like 2 o'clock on Wednesday, you're outside the company building and says, my company sucks, my company sucks, my company sucks. And getting paid. And having them come out and give you a little ice cream. Oh, the company sucks. Oh, that's too bad. You think the company sucks? Would you like some treats? Anyways, right? So we've had that for a decade at least. And so what I think is going to be really interesting to look at is that idiocy. That was the idiocy. As I've talked about before, and it sounds really cruel to say, but it's also true, right? The racism many times is not when you get fired. The racism was when you got hired. Right, that's real. Again, ta-dum with Netflix. Everybody, they're crying, oh my God, you're racist. You're firing all these ta-dum employees. Did you know ta-dum existed until I started talking about ta-dum? No, right? Netflix decided to start hiring people. They didn't know what the hell to do with the people. They were not upskilling motherfuckers. They were just like, we're going to hire a certain identity of people and put them somewhere. And so they put them into ta-dum. It's not a profit center. It's a whatever the fuck ta-dum is. As soon as they started running into financial issues, they fucking killed ta-dum because obviously they were going to kill ta-dum. Again, the racism was not the firing. The racism was the hiring. And the problem is, like with so much of this stuff, what we're going to be seeing right now is nobody appreciates the past 5 years of paychecks. Isn't that interesting, right? The company is cruel for laying you off. The company is cruel for firing you. The company is cruel for return to office policies. The company was not kind for paying you money you did not fucking deserve. The company was not kind for allowing you to work from home, basically doing things that did not bring much to the bottom line as you got your full paycheck, right? The company was not kind when they provided all of these things previously, but the company is now cruel when they start implementing these policies. And think about it, if you're an employee at these companies, what is that going to do, not just to your mindset, but to your peers' mindset, to your subordinates' mindsets? Like, it's fascinating. So I've been out of the employee game for so fucking long. And the interesting thing for me, again, coming to Asheville, is there is a difference in community, there is a difference in culture between tech entrepreneurs and tech founders and those types of people and tech employees. Right? Didn't really hit me until I came to Asheville. Because like for so much of my time, again, since 2000 some odd, right? Again, I have been around tech professionals, but they've all been tech entrepreneurs, tech C-level executives, tech decision makers, CIOs, CTOs, directors, founders, that type of deal, right? And there's a mentality. There is a mentality. The mentality there is if things aren't going your way, if things get fucked up, how do you change it? What do you need to do to tweak the course, right? And all the stress, all the pressure is on your shoulders. Again, the reason I come here and I scream into the camera to make money for Silicon Dojo, again, like with Silicon Dojo, I talk about the Silicon Dojo. I believe in Silicon Dojo. Like, to the heart of hearts, I believe in Silicon Dojo. I believe fully in the concept of free to end user education. When I see what my work has done, just to people who watch my videos around the world over the past 16, 17 years or whatever, it is so amazing. And to think about, like, what if we can transition that truly into that physical in-person experience, so people are really getting hands-on work, that they're actually getting mentorship, that they're actually creating peer groups, that they're actually doing all that kind of stuff, right? And I believe in that. And since I believe in it so much, I drive 3.5 fucking hours to Durham 3 times a month and stay in hotel rooms, right? Really, I was in Durham 4 times, still January, 4 times between like January 23rd, right, for the month, right? Because it was just like I believe in it, but I have ownership. I have ownership in what I'm doing. The question is, oh, you say you believe in this idea, but are you willing to drive 3.5 hours one way? Are you willing to do what is required in order to make this idea successful? And so the thing, like don't get me wrong, there's frustration, yes, and there's anger, but it's like that. It's frustration you can do something with. It's anger that you can do something with. It's that energy that you can put into a direction, right? I'd like literally sitting there, and with Durham, it's sitting there and looking at like, furnished apartments or whatever else, and asking, hey, if I'm going to be in Durham so much, not that I'm leaving Nashville at all, but maybe it makes sense, right? There's this, like, you have agency in your job as a founder, as an executive, as an owner, as that type of thing. So even when shit starts to go sideways, even when you're angry, you still have some place to focus the energy on to try to make it better. I think it's what's interesting here being in Asheville. And I truly did not really realize the difference till I got to Asheville. Asheville has so many tech employees. We have very few founders and business owners. Most of the technical people here are employees. And the mentality difference it's simply a world of difference. It's people who have given up the agency in their job so that they can get a standardized paycheck and a standardized set of benefits. And so the problem there is when the dynamics of the world change, they really do not have much power in that situation. They have the ability to get another job, right? They have the agency to be able to get another job, or they have the agency to create their own startup company or whatever else and see how the hell that works. But other than that, like when you have a job at a company, the entire point of a job in the company is that you're a fucking cog. Like, I don't want to be a cog. Well, then don't be a fucking employee. That's the game, right? They are paying you to be a cog. Some cogs don't have a high school education. Some cogs have a PhD. The fact of the matter is the owner, founder, manager, whoever else, right? They are looking at this organic piece of machinery, and they need to put cogs into that system. The cogs need to go in that system, and the cogs just need to do their jobs. They have a bit of agency, but not very much. And it's interesting being around so many employees and seeing how this age of technology, right? They've had 5 or 10 years of this environment where they were told that they were powerful, where they were told they had agency, that they were told horse crap, just garbage, right? To make sure their asses stayed in the fucking seat. That was the important thing, right? And so it's curious, is like, as all of that falls apart, what that's going to be doing to the mentality of the employees. And yeah, it's going to be a hell of a thing. It's got to be funny. It's got to be so funny. Don't tell my friends that. I have a lot of tech employee friends now. It's like, how did that happen? Diversity. You can befriend employees. Anyways. I'll be curious to see how this works out. Cause yeah, we're just going into a mess. And like, that's the whole, like when you go into a mess and everybody understands what's going on, like, this is a shit show. This is a disaster, right? Then it's easier to prepare for it and deal with it. I think about that with Helene here in Asheville. Like, if we had really known we were going to get hit with a hurricane and we had any idea what the hell that might have actually meant, like, we simply would have gone out and got more water. Right? That was the thing. Like, so few people had water. Like, if we had grasped the concept, people would have gotten water beforehand. People would have gotten toilet paper beforehand. People would have gotten food beforehand. People who could afford generators would have gotten the generators beforehand and made sure there was enough gas. People would have filled up the tanks in their car, right? It's not, if we had known the disaster was coming down the pike, it's not that we could have stopped the disaster, but we could have mitigated how bad the consequences of the disaster was, right? And that's what I kind of think about, like, with what's going on in the tech world right now. Is I feel like very few people understand that Helene is coming down the pike. As I've talked about before, make sure your budget is way under however much you're making, right? I was talking with one tech professional, and it was really interesting. Again, wake up call, an employee tech professional in the research triangle. And I was asking him about getting jobs because he had put his resume out. So I was like, oh, okay. And this is very recent, like in the last couple of months. And I was like, yeah, so how is it, can you find another job? And it was interesting. He was like, oh yeah, I can definitely find another job. Like, finding another job was no problem. And again, I'm surprised because I'm just sitting here listening. I'm like, really? I thought the job market was shit. He was like, yeah, well, they'll all pay me half as much as I'm making now. You're like, oh, right? And that's the kind of thing, like, mitigating for disaster, right? If you've already decreased your spending, if you've already made sure that you can live off of half the salary you're currently making, then if you get fired, you can take a job that pays you half as much as you were making and basically try to roll through the disaster. If you do not cut back your expenses, though, you can't take that job. And one of the worst things, like with unemployment, is long-term unemployment, right? Your skills atrophy. Your skills rot the moment you stop using them, right? There's some professions, there's this whole question about, is it good or is it moral or ethical to not hire somebody on long-term unemployment? Right? What I'll tell you, though, that have been long-term unemployed, what I'll tell you, though, is in the tech world, it actually does make a lot of sense, right? If you have not been sitting doing the job for a year or a year and a half or even 6 months, right? If I'm looking at somebody who just got fired and all their skills are up to date and the rest of it, and they've been doing the work and they've been doing all of that stuff, and I look at somebody that's been out of the job market for a year, yeah, I'm gonna hire the motherfucker that just got fired, right? Their skills are fresher. That's one of the things about, the technology world. And that's one of the things to consider, right? As the economy goes sideways. If you can take a job that pays half what you're currently earning, then if you lose your job, you can take that other job that isn't paying you as much, and you can ride that just as long as required until hopefully you can get a better job or a job that's going to pay you more, or maybe actually be able to raise up in the company or something like that. Whereas if you're spending all your money, right? You're spending all your money, you lose your job. You can't take that $75,000 your job doesn't pay you enough. So then you're gonna wait. You're gonna wait, and you're gonna find a job that pays what you deserve to get paid. And it's gonna be a month, and then 2 months, and then 6 months, and then a year, and then you're worthless. And I don't know. I just kind of think it's interesting right now. This whole, again, the kind of like the psychological dynamics of what's going on in the tech labor market, and how it will all flush out. So what do you think about this? What do you think about Pinterest laying off 15% of its staff? After we talked about UPS laying off 30,000 employees. After we talked about Autodesk or whatever laying off 1,000 employees. After we talked about Amazon not laying off 14,000 employees. My bad, laying off 16,000 employees. What do you think about all this kind of coming together And how many more companies do you think are going to start dumping employees as they search for the magic solution from artificial intelligence? And what do you think? What do you think about this with like the disgruntlement of tech employees? And like think about that as a culture. Think about that as a culture, right? You know, we talk about that with like business culture and startup culture. Like culture is one of the most valuable things you fundamentally have as an organization, right? It's how the people think. It's how the people work. It's how people come together. It's how people communicate. Culture is the binding force of an organization, right? When there isn't an SOP, there isn't a written rule, when people aren't quite sure what to do, it is going to be the culture that binds people together in order for them to find a path forward, right? What happens when countless companies are simply full of pissed off employees? What happens when the company culture becomes pissed off? And what happens if you're a boss and there might not be a lot you can do about it? Right? Again, the macro forces has changed, right? The investment environment has changed. They have to focus more on revenue and profit than they were focusing on asses on seats, right? That's just kind of how it is. Right? The job market has changed. There aren't as many jobs out there as there were. So your employees aren't as free to leave. That's going to cause fear, right? Budgets might be cut. All this fancy shit that employees were getting over many years, that has to be cut back because there's not enough money to pay people. And think about this as you're in this situation, like you have to change the dynamics of the relationship with your employees in so many ways due to macro forces, but then you get blamed. The only reason you're doing this is for greed. The only reason the CEO is doing this is for profit. Oh, fuck. Yes. Yes, that's how the system works. Anyways. Like, how do you deal with that kind of thing? I don't know. It'll be fascinating to think about. What are your thoughts? Put your thoughts down below. Do remember to do these videos in order to support Silicon Dojo, authorityless, gatekeeperless, free to end-user, hands-on technology education that empowers you to do whatever the hell it is you want to do in Durham, North Carolina. We have many classes coming up. I get a lot of people now saying, Eli, if you're so doom and gloom about the tech industry, why are you educating people? Because I'm not doom and gloom about the industry. I actually think this is going to be very, very, very good for our industry. It's going to be brutal and it's going to be hard on a lot of people. But for the industry and as a professional, I think this is going to be a good thing, right? We are going to need these technological systems 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. Are the stacks going to look a lot different? Hell yeah. How do you administer, how you interact with the systems? They are going to be different, but we are still going to need technology employees to basically be doing the tasks required in order to build, implement, and maintain these systems, and that is why I'm teaching people. Here's the deal. If you come from the mindset of solving problems, talking with people to figure out where their pain points are, and then figuring out what the most valuable place is you can put yourself in the stack, at the end of the day, you're going to be fine. Again, on the 5 or the 10-year mark. One of the things to be thinking about as a tech career, right? We have our ups and downs. We had the dot-com bust. We had the Great Recession, right? We have ups and we have downs. That's just the thing. You need to look at your career on the 5 or 10-year span, right? It's not about how much you make this year. Whether you make $10,000 this year or whether you make $1 million this year, that's not really a very valuable metric. The metric is going to be, how does that average out over 5 years or 10 years? And you're going to have your ups and you're going to have your downs. When I talk about this, right, before the dot-com bust, my MCSE bootcamp instructor for MCSE 2000, again, 2000, right, was talking to us about that. And he was talking about the ups and downs. And he had done signals. He had done repair work or whatever, like I did, but for the Marines. He had done that. He had gotten out of the Marines. He had gotten a really good job. He then got laid off from that really good job and sucked wind. He sucked wind for about a year. And then he got another really good job, and this boot camp thing was taking off. And so he had his MCSE for 2000, whatever it was. So they hired him to teach this boot camp. And so again, this was about 2000, before the dot-com bust and all that. And he was back up to making like $200,000. Back, 25 years ago, when that was more money than it is today. And that's one of the things he told us. It was like, look, you just got to keep moving forward, right? Sometimes you're doing well, sometimes you're doing middling, sometimes you're doing piss poor, but you just got to keep going. Things come and things go. The important part is that you keep pushing forward. So anyways, that is my advice for this, and that's why I teach, Silicon Dojo. The idea that tech support is going to go away is idiotic. The idea that there's going to stop being value in people that implement design and whatever maintain systems is idiotic. Just the reality is there's going to need to be less of them, right? We need a culling of the herd. We need a culling of the herd. However brutal that sounds, it doesn't even come fucking close to what we need, right? But that's the thing, right? Let's say, you eliminate 75% of the quote unquote tech employees. That's still 25% that's still around, right? That's still 25% that have jobs. That's still 25% that also need services and support and everything else. That's still 25% that is moving forward and building new things that will need to be supported and deployed, and the rest of it. And so that's what you've really got to figure out, right? For so many years, right? I've been doing videos since 2009. For so long, I got all this hate about passion, right? I hate the word passion, right? Passion is the word that slave owners use to make their slaves work harder. What? You're not passionate about what you're doing? And what's fascinating, so long I bitched and whined. I just screamed about this idea of passion. And I got so much crap from people. Right, that was one of the big argument points. Eli, it's not our fault. You're just whatever. You don't have any passion anymore. But what's fascinating with these little fucks is as soon as the job market gets hard, as soon as there's return to office mandates, as soon as the focus goes back to providing value to the corporation, all of a sudden passion goes out the window. Right? All of a sudden you get laid off from your job, and that's the last day you add anything to GitHub. Bucko, I thought you said you were passionate. You're so passionate you have no side projects. Huh. You're so passionate you have no side gigs. Huh. You're so passionate. You don't have any side lines of inquiry where you're going to brilliant.com or pluralsight.com or you're learning about neural networks or whatever else like that. Huh. Really? You're passionate about tech. You're so passionate about technology. The moment somebody stops giving you a paycheck, you stop doing any of it. Doesn't quite sound like passion. That's a weird kind of passion. But anyways, I don't know. That is the ranting. That is the rantings of a not boomer. So put your thoughts down below. Pinterest layoffs, UPS layoffs, Amazon layoffs, Autodesk layoffs, all these companies laying off. How many more companies do you think there's going to be layoffs? Do you think culling of the herd is an appropriate turn of phrase? Or is it just it's underestimating the brutality of what's about to happen? Oh, put your thoughts down below. And with that, I still have to go create this class. Again, Twilio, 11 Labs. Oh, I got the webhooks working yesterday. So it's really cool. Again, if you're still here, you actually want to learn a little about technology, this is cool. So Twilio is the infrastructure as a service for telephoning. So you use them for the telephone. They then route, actually using a webhook, to 11 Labs. So 11 Labs is the AI voice agent system. What's really cool is in 11 Labs, you can set all this stuff up for your AI agent, but you can actually also create variable names and tell the AI agent to try to get these variable values. So I have this thing, so it's like a little help desk system. So anyways, what happens is it asks what the problem is, that type of deal, and then it asks you what your email address is. And then what it does is it uses a GET method. So with a GET method, it sends a webhook to a server. So I have a bottle web app server up on DigitalOcean. So it actually sends the variable value for email. So as email and as problem, it sends the email and it sends all the problems to my server on DigitalOcean, and then you're able to grab that information and do with it as you will. That shit's cool. That shit's cool. You can sell this shit all day long. It's absolutely amazing. Again, like 11 Labs. I don't think I've been this excited for a technology since SQLite. Remember when I learned about SQLite and I was like, SQLite. That's how excited I am about this particular technology right now. Which I guess this shows you just like how I'm not a real geek. See, this proves to you that I, unlike the other folks out there, am not a real geek. Because I get excited about SQLite. I get excited about AI being able to send variable values with webhooks. I get excited about technology that you can actually sell and build a company off of. Anyways, that proves to you, right? You come here and you're like, Eli's nice and all, but he just never talks about bezels. See the problem is how you can tell Eli the computer guy is not a real tech YouTuber is like he just never tells me the bezel size of an AI agent. How do I know if I should use that AI agent if I don't know what the bezel size is? Anyhow, now I'm just being an asshole. But anyways, to thine own self, be true. See you later.